Four. And, roll call, Leslie.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Here.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Cortez. Present. Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Present.
Eden.
Present.
Trustee Dr. Phyllis.
Present.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Here.
Trustee Rosa Eden.
And he was feeling something. Think about it.
Present.
Yeah.
Present.
Vice Chair, Portillo, could you read the notice of the meeting?
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July 2025. This is the regular trustees meeting of the Lumen College Board of Trustees. Notice of this meeting is provided in accordance with the Lumen College Open Meetings Act resolution. The agenda was posted at least 72 hours in advance of today's meeting at the office of the president and on the Lumen Community College website at www.luna.edu. Any person who requires any special accommodation to attend or participate may contact the Lincoln College president at 5054-500 or 1-800-588-7332 extension 1000 for assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, but at this time, we will do the pledge of allegiance. Miss Maxine Hughes, can you lead us? Next item is the approval of the agenda. And second. Thank you. Roll call.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Cortez. Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Yes.
Trustee Kenneth Medina.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Yes.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Yes.
Trustee Rosa Ortega.
Next item, approval. And I have a couple of questions. Anyone else have any questions on this? If not correct. You mentioned that you were waiting for a quote for the mold. Did you get that in?
So we did not, we didn't see it here, we did do testing last week.
And the other question that I had said recruitment reports 300 applications. Did you ever find that back?
Absolutely. Well, so I didn't, but we did, I will,
Thank you.
put it on over here.
Anybody else have any questions on the minutes of intent? Then I would like to add a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the meeting, Madam Chair, there are changes. Follow.
And a second,
Second.
and a roll.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Cortez.
Yes.
Secretary Mark Dominguez.
Yes.
Trustee Kenneth Medina.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Gilbert Sena.
Yes.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Yes.
Rosa Ortega.
Next one is public comment. Anyone on?
I'll need some ordinance. Here. Who's not ordinance, not no public comment.
All right.
My apologies.
And being able to take parts.
No.
Yeah. So.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, done.
Good morning. Next, item, board of trustees updates. It's me. First of all, executive committee meeting and the FinCom board has their talking. See, we discussed personnel updates, mainly the BTI and the associate BTS. Other employee updates. You did not. Are you okay with it? Okay. All right, we discussed having a new intern for the board of trustees regular meeting methods, which would be personnel and employee student recognition, and we're going to put that in there now. Compliance assurance, we got some information on the audit updates, the capital outlay updates, and the HLC posted visit, which will be November 17th and 18th. We also got information on summer and also, which I think is in your packet now. The elected enrollment to the town, July 7th. The board policy, we are follow up and website. Other updates include the New Mexico Economic Development Business Plan grant applications, the attained contract, and that's about it. Any questions on executive committee meeting?
No.
No. Okay, next up will be the board audit and finance. Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, we're being, looking at the signatory authority for Dr. C. We can have recommendation today, if there's only. We went over revenues, total revenues to 3.25, that in, recommend 90%, by budget, expenditure, 86%, projected balance. 120,006 good carry over. And continuing closures, unfortunately, I guess people have quite a bit of money that have submitted. Their invoices to the finance team so they can close that out. Other problems, so good for you guys. We also, want the cash available balances, receivables. Accounts payable. Payroll and benefits. And that seems to be exceeding 10% based upon fluctuation of which back people pay for their plans of health, correct? Did I miss anything on so far?
Vivian is right, you know, it's, that is, that is not originally planned for. We have made that adjustment in upcoming, this year, there's the.
And it's been brought to the finance team to see it. That 10%, and it's gonna be tight part, ready to try, right? Dr. Shields will look at stuff. Something days. Also restricted grants. Construction in general. We have the action item in the bank, and we will be adding Dr. Shields and we reviewing it after.
Yeah.
Dr. Mark, that's gonna still stay on.
She wasn't wrong.
She's never. Other was,
Yeah.
so, as further ado, it's all in my chair, and it is fair to say the FTE 3.5 is complete options.
Absolutely, you have a report.
I don't want to take away from you the work that your team has done.
Thank you.
I'm not the guy that shows up or, that's the cheerleader on the side of them. It's in the field doing the work, so I'll let you represent that and give your presentation. FY 24 presentation updates, finance team is actually working on FY 25. FY 24 audit, as we speak, that is ongoing. I believe the day after, or even before that, you guys had already been engaged in that, correct, Officer?
That is correct.
Also, I want my colleagues to know that I requested a internal cost summary of what it costs for our board to go to the ACC trainings. And the reason for that is to learn our return on investments, what the campus of the board members gain from that knowledge when they go. And more importantly, we have monetary amount as the future of what it's going to cost and have an increase and have a basis of what it costs for the board. That's in turn. If anybody wants to request that. Paper, and then it's an internal. Any other reason, but so that we can support and the board can say is doing an excellent job. And holding the subcommittees compiled on the same day, as you all know that when you're the chair of your subcommittee, you can have your meeting whenever you want. Basically, so it's important to know to the public, to stakeholders and to constituents that this board is morally and ethically cost effective to the institution, to save the institution money by compiling our subcommittee meetings. So with that, Madam Chair, I'd like to close out.
Thank you. And you didn't bring Dr. Steele's parade.
Today,
Any questions on the finance committee report? Anything to add? Trustee Medina?
no, that.
Thank you. Next one is board academic committee meetings.
Okay, we got together with the first of July. There was a quorum, we got together in 119. We discussed the approval of the agenda. Then from last June 4th that they made, motion was approved. Actually, then we discussed the instruction and student services. We brought up section of the BPISS. She brought to our attention that there was 18 total applicants. Out of those, 6 were selected for interviews. So, and on those, I think we participated in open forum with LCC staff, so we discussed that. Also discussed interviews and some of the interviews that have already been taken. There were the interviews for July 7th. Of course, I think the 10th and 14th are coming up.
Thank you, trustee Madrano. We ended up having to reschedule the July 10th, because of conflict. But I think we have that scheduled for next week. And it's spilling a little bit.
So those were the and the BGIS interview. Also, we discussed we discussed personal updates. New board governance regular meeting package. We also discussed review of the list of recent separations. I think we had a couple of employees that left the institution. We also discussed the chess financial aid position and work to ensure that we're broad support. They got brought up. We also brought their attention to Karen Porter will be taking the CTE director position. Would that be is that going to be a permanent?
She was, thank you, trustee Madrano and chair Dr. Martinez. Karen Torres had been hired permanently into the CTE director position in March of 2024 and came up as the interim VP last year. So she's returning to them.
Well, we discussed we've seen who's taking the interim BPISS position. Now is that temporary or?
Yes, she's retiring at the end of July.
I think we discussed that.
She tells me that that's true.
We don't want to let it go.
No, we do not.
So we've got two services update. The contract, contract, we need the additional 3 months for financial aid. Something that run for religion. Because of the enrollment comparison report for summer service semester. Census of June 23rd, how we compared in June 23rd to this, the most present one. Knowing that she did bring to attention an increase of 178% or on the head count, which is it was great to hear that the head count. Also, degree seeking, a head count double from 73 to 145, and that was good news. Also, the credit hour production of 180% or it went from 977 to 1386. Also, we discussed enrollment challenge for fall semester, planning the process, and we discussed the athletic students. I think they mentioned, we brought up that all the athletes have been enrolled already. And then when the fiscal year 23 audit has cleared, and now it's one of the most it's significant. The audit has cleared the state and at our committee voted today. Even at Tuesday, the same day, we adjourned. Those the extent of our meeting, academic meeting.
Just as a point of clarity or working. Rosie Ortega was nothing.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
On the minutes of the.
Yes.
It says it was taken. And she was not present.
She's listed in the not present category for the determination of form.
But about it says Rose Weaver taken present and then it says not. present. So it's speaking to me.
Thank you.
And it doesn't say that Dr. Santa was present. So see if it's that.
I see how you did that, as Jeremy put, the members and the president, who was present at the meeting, so they're. She was talking about.
Yeah. Correct.
Thank you.
And I would also like to agree that enrollment increases, particular stuff. Let's hope it continues for the fall, and let's hope instead of 140 graduating. Maybe. From 80 to 140, yeah, there you go. Good goal. We can put it all over campus. And we can. Thank you. Any questions regarding the academic committee meeting? Thank you, then, trustee Medina, facility chair of the facility committee minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we did have a facility meeting on Tuesday, July 1st at 9 a.m. The president was myself, chair, trustee Luis Portillo, Carol Linder, president, Dr. Schultz, Mac Rego, April Sandoval, recording secretary. Discussion, we had some updates. I'm going to go through some of them that I really like happened with demolition of the building. Did you see that building? That was a big deal that happened. Roofing inspection, walkthrough, admin integrity, this is like 15 to 20 pieces of roof panel, which I think might have been done, but now. They said in 2 weeks. Respected faculty move or plans, general studies, Northwest building above warehouse, its entrance, athletic group, 6-month project, preschool for the 6 weeks project, AR, deep silver panel, the lower label panel. Also be completed in 1 year as requested by insurance. Progressive Roofing has 193 days that finish all buildings. Completed walk through Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Ensuring roof colors match current roofs. We were easy identity color to write. Demo project, like I said, is done. Plan for area to meet current NEC capacity according to higher education. So Stockholm, it student services and administration building with BRE. NR to seal windows, early above server, stuff. Small business building. And sewer and water damage insurance will cover someone who has to cover drainage and. If they sewer, insure caps on vents, if it's fixing the roof. I don't, Dr. Lee, will be more about that, and we're thinking of extending that to like.
Okay, we'll have to see if we do it. People have said we shouldn't do that. That is a decision.
Okay, we're done. Sidewalks need fixing, encourage grounds to use site instead of driving trucks. They purchase them side by side, so they don't be driving sidewalks. Here on campus, lighter people. It's you. Maintenance. There, drains needed. Some container sprinkler stock is done. Santa Rosa HVAC's done. Still trying for the 103,000, we have that already. For the. Estado engineer. Is working with insurance company, industrial, dentist, and additional. Elevation on mold. That do it. Insurance, won't repair. Damage in general studies.
Oh, that really should say that insurance will repair the damage in general studies, but they're not going to repair it until after the roof is done. So we need to correct that because they are going to repair it, but they need to have the roof completed first.
Oh, they're have you can, but.
They're gonna repair it. It's just they don't repair it until after the roof is done.
And then we will move it to humanities. We're the leaders in place. June 2nd, we provide capital outlay, fuel bonds update, ADA. And I'm gonna have. President, Wolf, Chief of Staff are lobbying to get new resident homes. Between Highlands and LCC for 60 rooms, but need 80 rooms. LCC partner and makes you in lobbying for additional resident homes.
That's just my comment. I don't know exactly how many rooms we need, but we definitely need more than 60. So, anyway, so right there, so we need to do an assessment on it. Not just the athletes, because other students can live there as well.
So you don't have a problem.
I just had met with, the chief of staff, and they have a lobbying team, the new residence halls, and I had talked to President Wolf about being part of those discussions, because I think if Highlands is lobbying for new residence halls that we could support that with numbers and do things like that, and so, I just. Trustees.
But was it installed number, it's that one, well,
There's not
there-
communication, just seconds. Currently, we have 60 rooms. And I think we need more than that, so there has not been a number of, actually, think that we could probably fill more than that as well. But I haven't been into any of those meetings yet. I need to be, okay, environment.
Also, a concern was brought up, spring after school program, we have a gender neutral bathroom, there's supposed to be a door instead of a wall. In the city of Springer, the change order issued, the door was never installed. Due to lack of funding, the vendor needs to speak, Mayor Springer for changes.
What you're referring to is that they. And what, Trustee Medina referring to is that, they set up that rec center, they did some renovations, and they're supposed to leave a door that connected so that the individuals that were using this gym were able to go to the restroom, but it's different. So, to walk for the students versus the gym. So now in the restroom, and so it was originally the women's restroom, so now. It's a restroom.
And actually, children.
And children, well.
why don't you do that? The simple solution.
Trustee Dominguez, oh, okay, anything. Trustee Dominguez, it's a bathroom that doesn't have a. So, but I think that there are things that we need to do to look at that area to see if there are things that we can address with that.
And this was all under President Martinez, but he, I'm sure would end, but they had, but it was originally supposed to be a door. So, sure, President. Yeah. And so, sure, he ever, so anyway, President, because of the area.
Also, Trustee Portillo's mentioned that the outside wall of Springer Main Street needs repainting. Santa Rosa Police touch up also really want to be the last time implementation. Luna Bay all field for Springer City building. Painting LCC rocks. Gate receipt, solar lights needed, that will complete by August 1st. That's in the. Yeah. Yeah.
This way, east that way.
We said
Yeah.
okay, and then I thank the.
See, I'm not,
In the maintenance crew for building the potholes that are coming up to do that. And sends out their for. Fourth of July parade. Very good, appreciate the time, volunteer time, and that's about it, Madam Chair.
It's just that, it's just, it's clear that, we're getting updated codes or, I guess, the maintenance are getting updated codes for cabins.
so did the golf cart not?
It didn't.
So it's a president.
It's not operated, but I did not know it was a golf course at the board president wanted. So I heard them, and now, so then we talked about putting the golf on the trailer, and then I could join it to the trailer. But Friday morning, I just walked in, it was fun, but. Okay,
And the. Is.
yes, yes, we have two golf carts appearing. But I did not know we had one that was booked at 7 years ago.
So, I just wanted to mention. Them talking, the foundation was 3 feet thick. The old days. For
Hungry was cheap.
did you imagine the cost of it?
Not. Especially, is in. But there, are we accounts at all our sites or the other sites already have, or is it streamers of other, So. They really have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we.
The company went out of business.
They just.
The guy.
Cool, thank you. That's it.
So I have one question on other updates, ear out delays. Is this in addition to the 1 million? Okay, so this is not it.
Valley needing to.
And look at his expression.
Done, maybe, that's just over.
And there are 2 of them, and I know one of them belongs to the foundation, correct, Lawrence? So you guys don't have that? You guys donated it? Oh, okay, and you both go.
Was it right? Or just. Leave it.
The charge is one thing that needs to be fixed for ballots, and city recognition.
Thank you.
Any other additions or questions regarding facilities? Committee meeting, thank you. Thank you, trustees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes.
Next item is action item, BOT work session proposed July 15 or July 29 or August 7. What are the wishes of the board?
Chair, Dr. Martinez, I did hear from Carlos, our attorney, Carlos Padilla, and the 15th doesn't. So the 29th and 7th do.
Madam Chair,
Okay,
I have, right. I've never asked for it. The 7th, this is some.
7 is. Dr. Stella? Okay, the only one check with is trustee. Taylor. And then I'll get back to you.
Is that what's here? Is that the 7th? What we're going
Dependent on.
That actually works better.
You got the bell one.
Okay, so then you have to be to have a board of trustees work session to discuss policies and the open meeting. And for August the 7th, 10 a.m. dependent on trustee Ortega's confirmation. So can I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Did you get that? Yes. And a second.
thank you. Chair.
Okay, the next item is new personnel and employee student recognition, and thank you, Dr. Lynn, for this. Yeah. Who made this chart? Okay.
She added this year.
So.
You gave what you gave information.
So, okay. Thank you, Martinez and trustees, well, not trustees. What you will see in happen now is this additional insert where we have highlighted our new employees. But then, and which we were previously putting into the agenda. And I appreciate trustee Tito's sort of suggesting that we do this as a separate insert. And we actually gather a lot of this information and share a lot of this information during the month. That's why it's good to sort of put it in. So we do have one new employee this month, Lita Trujillo. And so she started on June 2nd in Santa Rosa. We do still have a number of vacancies to be filled. And those are listed there. So these are short, long, we did have resignations in our financial aid, and so we are looking to fill those positions as well. We've been working very hard on some different short-term options that we can do for that. We did have a number of separations, and those are listed there. And we're on page 9, if everybody saw that. And so some people are leaving in July, and those dates are noted. There is one additional separation is Julio Romero is, I don't remember his last name, Jeff. Next, anyway, yes, he has decided to take a position. So
We have to,
I know. He may come back. You know, anyway, we did have a farewell for Lisa Besson that Bellows organized. That was really nice, and we had a number of those different things there. So in terms of staff and student recognition, Leslie did pull these out. They previously sort of were buried in the board report, and so we've got several that have come up. And Valerie Thompson was recognized, but she actually started. She started the month before Mr. and in previous meetings, but that she is there. I do think that I did include the people, I was going on page 10. I do want to just kind of point out the people that got challenged. For 20 nominations of people that they said people felt were living out the values and the principles of the community college there. And I think really want to name those publicly because I think that they don't always get the recognition that they should get. So Andrea was efficiency improvement, Anthony Lupon, custodian, who also finished in our cosmetology program, Ariel Toombs, who's the administrative assistant in CTE, Chris Chavez, we all know Chris Chavez, he helped out a great deal, Cristino Riego, Denise Fox, Cristino is working on the culinary and does living eats with crypto, Denise Fox, always participates in everything and really has done a great job. Elaine Montano, who's a longest serving employee here, right? Dedicated to the director, Justin Garcia, procurement director, who really has gone above and beyond the past 2 months, helping out everybody at the end of the year, taking a lot more, completing some of the capital projects. Karen Torres, who served as our interim VP for the year, Leslie Garcia, who got a special shout out at Scott, I think Scott, they could do honors there, Maxine Hughes, Rita Graves, Tyson Jackson. So anyway, I think that that's really important. I did list the people that stepped up to help while Matt Griego was out. And those are listed there as well. So in addition to Chris and Justin, Estelle, Leslie, Loretta, Dr. Shields, Roxana, and Michael Salazar. We had talked about this and I put it in my weekly reports, but Denise Fox got a grant, a small grant through the foundation Luna Smiles to offer free dental services and free cleanings. And so she started that last week. And she is doing that, and her idea was to do 4 a week, and I think she was so exhausted last week, she said she might go down to 2. But you can schedule and scan that, so if you know anybody that needs free cleaning services, use that scanning thing. And Denise Fox is also, has taken over and really excelled in doing shout outs for each week, we gather shout outs. And I just included all of those, I'm not gonna time, and it's kind of hard to read some of them. So I
The
second page is the one can't. But anyway, that is something that I started actually a couple years ago, and then Denise took it over with the VP of finance, and she's really taken it above and beyond it, done these great little designs here, so anyway, I think it is really important to recognize all the work that people are doing, and again, all of these come from people on campus, and Denise gathers those every week, so anyway.
Good to see that it's over and above. And I would like to also double shout out for Charlie, that is those famous stuff going on academia under his direction. So,
I'm not asking. If I may, let me tell you, before you say it.
I don't even go to say. Because he's doing it. All people. Either thank you. I'm just a services are these income.
So, so the goal is what Denise would like to do is to offer clinics to people that don't need insurance or dental care. However, she is not, if she's got it, she's taking it. So she's not like doing a fee for people and saying, do you have it or not?
And the children at the daycare.
So I can't remember, do you know, Maxine? Yeah, about the children at the daycare. I think that they know about it, but I think she talked about that, and I don't know specifically that she's doing things for children at the daycare.
Not there, you have, right? Toothbrushes and toothpaste and all general health care.
Yes. They do there. So the dental assisting program every year goes and does dental health training at preschool. And our nursing students go over as well. So we have really great interactions with the kids at the preschool, and they go over and they have like a big toothbrush, and they have this big horse thing that doesn't have very natural teeth. But anyway, so yes, they go over, dental assisting students actually do that. Nursing students go over and do the preschool as well. So it's a very, very nice interaction with our students in the preschool.
The parents enjoyed it.
And I don't know before, but the cosmetology students are also doing haircuts for kids at the preschool. Yeah, very good.
Next item that we're for that, next item is the like audit report. Mr. Gordon.
They have a. Sure, you have the.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it possible for the share to be enabled so I can share my screen and the PowerPoint presentation I have?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yeah.
Mr. Gardner, good morning, how are you? Very good.
Good morning.
I'm glad to get your question. Is there any reason why you did not come and present live to the board? You guys have come in the past, and I was just curious with scheduling, with the timing, and then what we audit, permit information, and I don't know about my colleagues, but I would like to, discuss this live, but nonetheless, you're Zoom, move forward.
So the reason I didn't come is when I had been requested to make this presentation, I had a conflict later, right after lunch. And so I couldn't make it up there. Otherwise, I would have had to decline because I had a previous commitment.
So if you're staying lunch, it's probably pretty good.
No, right after lunch.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Just text me where you read, like, where to go.
Did we get the option to share?
Not yet.
He doesn't have to, she needs to do is go under the share and say all participants. If she just goes to that carrot right there and says, no, not to that, cancel that, and then go to the carrot right next to it, right? And said all participants, there you go. Then you can share. Thank you.
Perfect, that's working.
Chris,
All right, can you see that?
yes,
So the presentation I have here, and a couple of the trustees were at our exit conference in June, is just some highlights from that exit conference, going over certain required communication that auditing standards talk or require that we talk about. And so the very first thing is I'm going to go over is the actual standards that we have to follow. In the state of New Mexico, we not only have to follow the top two boxes, which is just regular auditing standards, but we also have to follow what we call government auditing standards. And that is because the state audit rule requires us to do every audit in the state of New Mexico under that government auditing standards, or more commonly referred to as the Yellow Book standards. And so I'll kind of explain in a moment why that happens. So under the top two boxes, with just regular US auditing standards, the top left box, what we were hired to do is express an opinion on your financial statements. And so what that means is we give you'll see it in the top red box, we give what's called reasonable assurance. You know, we definitely cannot look at every transaction. We pick statistical samples, we look at internal controls, but we're not testing, you know, every transaction that runs through the college. And so when we give our opinion, we're stating that the financial statements are what we call materially correct. Well, what does that mean? What that means is if you were to give your audit to a banker, there could be errors in the numbers because we don't look at every transaction, but those errors are not going to be significant enough to change the opinion of the readers of the financial statements. And so if we were to give them to a banker, the bankers, those errors would not affect the banker's opinion on the financial status of the college. And so that's what our responsibilities are under just regular auditing standards. On those top two boxes, when it comes to internal controls, technically all we have to test is one transaction from each significant cycle. And significant cycles are things like cash disbursements, your payroll cycle, the cash receipts. So those types of cycles, accounting cycles, technically, we only have to walk one transaction through, and we've met those top two boxes. Well, the standards require or want us to do the Yellow Book audit, or the state auditor does, because they want us actually picking internal controls and testing those significant cycles. So if we look at the bottom on the left, what we're doing is we're testing internal controls, and we're going through and we're picking samples, but we're not picking big enough samples to give an opinion. What that report talks about is how we're testing internal controls above what regular auditing standards require. And then we have to communicate at the bottom right what we call significant matters. Well, state audit rule kind of changes the Yellow Book audit a couple of different ways. Number one, they add 21 items that we potentially could have to test based upon whether or not you have that activity. Things like procurement. We've got to look at use of credit cards, travel and per diem. So there's additional items that the state audit rule requires that we test. And additionally, on the bottom right, that significant threshold is actually removed, and it's the threshold's basically taken to the ground floor. If we have any findings in our state, the state auditor wants transparency. They want them to be reported to boards so that you can deal with them. And so any findings, it doesn't matter if it meets that threshold that I have on the slide or not, state audit rule wants them reported in our state. And so we have more testing to do in New Mexico. We have more transactions to look at, and we also have more findings because of the threshold that the state audit rule has adjusted. So those are two of the standards that we had to follow in performing the audit. The next slide is talking about the results of the audit. So we issued what's called an unmodified or a clean opinion. Our opinion states that the financial statements are what we call materially correct and that they do meet the standards, we call them GAAP or generally accepted accounting principles, that we have to follow. And so this is exactly the type of report that the college wants to receive. So this is a good thing. So we did give a clean opinion on the financial statement audit. In conducting that yellow book audit, and that's the one on the left, we did have some exceptions as we went through our testing of internal controls, and we'll talk about that at the last part of the presentation. The slide or the box on the right is talking about the federal single audit. Because the college receives more than spends more than $750,000 of federal funds, we have to do a compliance audit over those grants and make sure that you're meeting the compliance requirements that have been established by the federal government that they have us test. And so pretty much every year, student financial aid is one of the ones we test. And so we go through and make sure that we're meeting the compliance requirements related to student financial aid and then the other programs that we select testing. We do give an opinion. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So the 21 items are things you have to look at every year or just selected items?
It's
So-
amazing. Dr. Steele doesn't get it, correct?
Right.
And with that, yeah.
But what the Article 21 item must share. Or be elected 21 items.
I'm sorry,
Physical-
I'm hearing about every other word.
So, I'd like to know, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'd like to know if the 21 are one chair or if you select the 21.
So those 21 items listed, and it seems like, I know at one point after we had the exit, one of the trustees requested that we send what those items are. I think you're looking at those. So those are potential items that we have to look at. Not all of them are applicable to the college. And so those that are applicable, we do have to pick samples and test those and look at the internal controls over those items.
The only one would be the full finance. Otherwise, most of them probably need to check, so nothing outside of those 21 items, or you might check other items as well, including the 21.
So I think if I'm understanding the question is so we also pick samples of like cash disbursements. We'll pick 25 that are outside of those 21 items. So we'll test your cycle over cash disbursements. We will look at your payroll cycle, and we test your payroll transactions. And then we also do those 21 potential items and pick samples out of those items that the state audit requires that we look at.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. So the one I'm talking about right now, the federal single audit, that has nothing to do with the items that we just talked about. We actually have to test internal controls over your federal spending, your federal programs, and we do issue an opinion. That's the second opinion that is ours. We gave a clean opinion or an unmodified opinion also on the compliance testing that we did over the federal programs. We could potentially have findings that relate to the federal programs, but we did not based upon our testing. So the results of the audit, both opinions are unmodified, exactly what you want to receive, but we do have some findings that are reported in that yellow book report that we'll talk about at the very end. Difficulties encountered to perform the audit. With the transition of personnel and cleaning up your trial balance, it delayed the audit. I'm sure you all are aware of all the situations that have happened. I think back in 2022, the financial records stopped being reconciled, and the college has been trying to get caught up ever since then. So, getting a clean trial balance with cash being reconciled took quite a bit of time, and so that did delay the start of the audit. The next slide is talking about adjustments, and we did have quite a few adjustments that had to be posted. Here's a listing of those. Cash and accounts receivables, we had to also adjust capital assets. Your pension and OPEB is one that we're going to have to adjust every year, because the way that auditing standards and really how you budget and you maintain your internal records, you record those expenses as you pay them. However, once a year, the state of New Mexico goes through and does an allocation of the $6 billion that ERB is underfunded, and you get your allocation of that amount. That's a liability that's really kind of out of the college's control, because you pay what they tell you to pay. And it's really not an issue of your contributions that it's underfunded. It's just that the state of New Mexico hasn't, their assets are not sufficient to cover the projected amounts that have to be paid out in the future. So that particular adjustment is one that we will have every year. The accrued payroll and comp absences is also another one that has to be done at year end. At June 30th, we have to make sure that we accrue, even though some payroll's paid after the fiscal year end. We have to accrue part of that to show it because the services were provided before June 30th. And then comp absences is your vacation time and things like that that have to be recorded at year end. And then we had some adjustments related to your net assets or your equity. So we did have quite a few adjustments. And so those did affect the audit as we went throughout the audit process. The next two slides are very similar. If we have had disagreements with management, we would have to let you know. And if we did have disagreements with management, and they went out and consulted with another auditor or accountant, I call this opinion shopping. If they would have gone out and tried to get somebody else's opinion that conflicted with us, we'd have to let you know. And again, that didn't happen. The last two slides are related to findings. These 4 findings were resolved during our 23 audit. So in the prior year, there were 4 findings that actually got dealt with and they were removed. So the first one is the internal controls for the foundation, the financial close and reporting and the reconciliation processes. They did get those implemented. The next one was we had some problems with some cash disbursements, as we were talking about earlier. When we test the internal controls, we had some exceptions in the prior year. The third one that was resolved is the return of Title IV funds. That was a single audit issue where we had certain timing that those funds needed to be returned and they weren't. And so that one was resolved in 23. And then the last one is pledged collateral. That actually is one of those 21 items that we talked about earlier that the state auditor requires us to look at. The state law requires you to get 50% collateral from your financial institution for any amounts that are not covered by FDIC insurance. And at June 30th last year, there was not sufficient collateral. And so June 30th of 23, the current year audit, there was. So that finding also was removed. So there were 4 findings that were removed. We have 3 findings as a result of our testing, and I think all 3 of these were repeats from the prior year. The first one is related to payroll, and what it did, what the issue was, is that your payroll calendar was, in essence, paying employees before the services were provided, which is is not allowed by state law. So, for example, if somebody started on July 1st, they might have got their first check July 5th for a whole 2 weeks, but they only worked a few days. And so the calendar was incorrect. I know that's been adjusted. I'm not sure if it's going to be FY24 or FY25, but I know on a go-forward basis that has been corrected. Financial close and reporting is kind of related to the adjustments we just talked about. You know, I know they're still going through trying to get FY24 reconciled as far as cash and all the transactions in the new system, that getting them accurately reported. And so that is one that I know is still ongoing. And then 2023-03 is the late audit report. Again, that is based on one of those 21 items. You know, the audit had a due date that we did not meet. And so we have to have a finding related to the lateness of it. 24 has already been due. So that one again will also have the same finding. And so those were the 3 findings that we had based upon our testing. With that, I'll open up to any questions that anybody might have.
Any questions? I already have one.
Thank you.
The only question I have for Dr. Linder is it going to be a priority that the balance sheets, that the bank accounts are reconciled? Because I think it's happening, other things were happening before that, and the balance, the reconciliation is black, and that changed so that it's a priority.
I think that Shields could address it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, you're absolutely correct. That is a priority that has to be undertaken. And we have addressed this with my team, and everyone is on board for that. And so as we are reconciling with the old system, Genzibar, and putting in with the new system, is a little complex, but we are definitely have a plan to move forward and have that as a priority.
Has it happened?
I agree, it's not fully implemented as of yet because of still learning the new system. And we have part of the team working on closing out the first half of fiscal year 24 for Genzibar, and then another part of the team dealing with the work that started in January.
So when someone in particular that you have assigned, I don't want to know names, I'm just asking the question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. Shields, is it important that I received that yellow book as part of its 21? There was 2 things I had asked before that I thought it was and the executive president office. It's the 21 items that I had. So there was another yellow book, as was discussed by Mr. Lerner, that was turned into rules to follow or bias. Or are we still?
No, I don't have the yellow book. I do apologize if you did request that. I do remember the 21 and to make sure that you have it. But the yellow book, I'll follow up and see that you as well as the trustees will have that as well.
So I appreciate that. And Mr. Garner, I thank you for your presentation today. I look forward to seeing you here next time. And I hope this was great. I hope this is good. So thank you for the presentation, and I appreciate you. And I know it took a lot of time, a lot of work, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garner.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr.
No, other than as stated by Mr. Gardner, you know, there's going to be a couple of repeats simply because of the timing of findings. But we have improved from the previous year. There was 7, and now it's down to 3. And but there probably will be a couple unfortunately, but the thing is, the overall operation is improving, and if we can increase our staffing and stabilize the personnel that we have, I'm sure that we'll be able to accomplish what has been established by President Linder.
Thank you.
Sure, okay, thank you. Trustee Dominguez, Dr. Martinez, let's say Dr. Martinez first, and then Trustee Dominguez. And I just. Okay, I just wanna. That we did, received, I think, the audit, the state audit for Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, we were able, Dr. Victoria and I were able to upload that to the federal audit and onto the easy audit. And Chris verified that on Thursday morning, Thursday, and I have notified the Department of Education, the Higher Learning Commission, the Department of Education. I mean, the New Mexico Higher Education Department, and I don't but I have it wasn't my report. I just want to thank Chris that he did. We did manage that, and also acknowledge Dr. Victoria's help in doing that. It was not a simple process to do all that, and then I appreciate that Chris checked anything that we had done. And
HED already.
they don't have to approve, we just needed to, we just need to notify them. And we just needed to notify them, we have sent it to the higher education department and also chief of staff. I do, I think that we need to also then update our IPEX data, our year-end IPEX data with our new audit information, still some additional work, and then the finance office is working on getting the comments and the final things so we can move forward, so we can keep the FY24 audit, and I think I saw an email about scheduling a meeting about that, so we're trying to move forward on the FY24. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for working up to this.
I mean, I have one question.
Seems like I always have questions for these people. President Linder, is it possible to get a summary of the audit and findings and the extra work that's entailed? I would like to know that number and give that to the rest of the colleagues for the need that the taxpayers deserve to know if they want working for the boards or being such an incentive. What we're doing it for.
So we did the quote that PBNH gave us beyond is what we paid it. We didn't pay them any additional ones. Yeah, so we did not, it's something we had discussed, and they have honored the amount that they had put in. I don't remember the exact number off the top of your head.
No.
Me neither, I can look it up, though, we haven't looked at the contract, because we have to sign a contract with the Office of the State Auditor. And if it turned out that it came back and PBNH said, okay, this is a lot of work, we're gonna need to charge more, we wouldn't have to get that our contract modified.
Well, it was my understanding that it wasn't, because you have an initial scope of work that's booked for the audit for Hotel on Rock, and then they have to do this other stuff as far as the audit findings, go back to whatever they gotta do, reconcile. So my assumption was there additional, so I just wanted to know that it was, and more importantly, if there's not.
Hear all that, Chris?
I could not hear all that, no.
Okay, so what Trustee was wondering was he recognizes that there was a lot of additional work that needed to be done by your office to help us in when you talked about the additional affiliations and capital investments and different things. So if you wanted to know if there were charges to the audit, it did cost us more. So it cost us more in terms of time that our employees are spending on that, but we all pay salary. No different than the hours for working, except we do have some people, we can get you that information, maybe an estimate. We do pay, the Toya contract. And so what we pay to the Toya contract, we could get you that, but they still don't charge any additional cost of they charge us with the audit.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. And I just need to be, and I believe that we have to be conscious of taxpayer money and where it's going in the reservation important institutions. There's more importantly for us to compete it impacts the students. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your generosity. I'm not charging you more. And well, we can look to something next time you come. Thank you, Mr. Burke. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Dr. Shields, wouldn't it be on this list, the budget?
It would be a summary, but it wouldn't be a breakdown that I believe that the chairman needed.
It's the audit, I think, is in the about there, but
Right. It's not broken before, I can find, but we can get that information for you, including any contractual workers that, spent, time and expense for it, so. Just let us know how soon you want that information and we'll try to have it for the next meeting.
Thank you. For the next finance.
It will be the
Finance committee. It will be.
get that information to the record. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Burke. Thank you, President Leader. Madam Chair.
So thank you. If there's anything else, we'll go on to the next item, LCC Foundation quarterly report. Mr. Tita, thank you for this.
I don't want to say, Mr. Green, never stop talking. Got it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Since we last saw you, we had, two events that we held. We had our annual awards banquet. And, we had a full house over at, Charlie's. It was a really good banquet. A lot of people we had a lot of good feedback, a lot of good people recognized. And, it was chaired by, Sylvia Martinez. She was the chair, so she did a lot of hard work. She made the event look absolutely fabulous, and it really did a lot of promotion to Luna Community College because we were able to speak to the public. We had a lot of people that came in from out of town to attend this event. And because of that, we're going to apply for things. Because it's during the time that we do graduation, we are going to apply for lodger's tax so that we can really market the graduation and the awards banquet to make it a bigger success than it has been. So that's just one thing. And then we had a swap meet. And we took a risk with swap meet because we've worked a lot of time with Anthony Baca on other things, car shows and stuff, and he wanted to chair and do a swap meet, and we were really successful. We had a lot of people that came in from Albuquerque, from Texas, out of Amarillo, and so we had a lot of people, a lot of vendors. It could have been better, but we just didn't really have the concept, and we could have planned it a lot better. We're gonna continue that. And we also want to do that in the satellites because I think it would we were talking to some people at, San Rosa and Mora, they want to do something similar. And so I think we're gonna follow through and on our strategic plan, we put that we're gonna reach out to the satellites and do those type of events because I think that would be a way of, reaching out to the community and the people in those areas, so. So those were two successful events. We did get, a base account, we made, about $5,500 for the awards banquet. And probably a little over $1,000 to $1,200 in the swap meet. So those were, successful events. And we had, a lot of good sponsors and a lot of good people to recognize from that time frame.
How much did you say?
About 5,500.
That's all.
Yeah, it's a little over 1,000.
And the 5,500. That's how much?
Or no, if you look at the total, cost, it's about $10,000. And then we had about $4,000 in expenses roughly. Well, spick and span, we had, the wards, we had, a lot of different things that we did to make the event. But we do get people with meals, but we also pay all of the people that are being awarded, they don't pay for it, so there's no cost to them. So those expenses, were roughly around $4,500.
We spent about $10,000 for our returns.
5,500. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we were able to receive through sponsors and other things over $10,000. And then with expenses, awards, different things that we did, printing, all that stuff, we end up with 5,500. So I did submit a strategic plan to you. It's very generic, and some of the reasons why it's generic is we really haven't established a lot of baseline over the past 3 years, but we're starting to get there. And we did it for 3 years because this board serves really 2 years. And we didn't want to reach out too far in advance because there might be new board members coming in that might be affected by this. As far as the investments goes,
I'm sorry. I don't think that we have a strategic plan in the package.
It's ready, strategic one, no plan, no.
it's a matrix and all, that's right. I apologize.
That's what exactly it just sounded like. And the other. It's not. Thank you.
So this is not, complete, it's just a basis of what you can be going off of. Goals, but yeah, it's generic.
Well, this is a strategic plan, a matrix format. And the reason we put that is because, right now, there's some information that, we're gathering to make, more decisions or more, baselines that we need to establish. This is the first strategic plan that I've really been involved with. There's been one other, but I was a member at the time, and it was in a similar format as this one. But it talks about the general components of us. We do investments, we do events, we manage grants, and we issue scholarships. And then we let you know what the employees are providing. We want to increase those, because right now, we have 22 employees that are actually donating. We need to reach out and start getting them more active in participating in the foundation. I know that, part of that is we want to give them recognition for, and do drawings once a quarter, where they're recognized for their contributions and their participation in anything that they do. We do get a lot of participation in our events, and I do thank all the employees who do participate, because they are very committed to seeing Luna succeed. And then outreach, that's ongoing. One of the things that we do with the awards banquet, we're trying to locate our awardees and welcome them back. And a lot of times, we have them actually participating and sponsoring the event, so that becomes success if they start participating and giving back to the foundation. The one thing that I wanted to say, we are going to be working with Coach Randy on a homecoming this fall. And so we're working with him on putting the initial plans for that particular event so that we can start recognizing our athletes and all the alumni to come back and participate in our homecoming. That, if I have any questions.
Besides me and usual.
I think you have some questions or you see what would be thoughtful before you answer all that. So thank you for that. You already knew that was done, so.
I have this down 3 years for each plan, objectives and students. And I just thought a comment. If you were to reach out to the thousands of Luna graduates to give $5, can you imagine how much money you could raise? There was some way you could ask them to graduate.
So this weekend, we got a list. We sent out approximately 300 letters. And what happened is all the addresses, because we haven't maintained it. So we had to reestablish that contact and establish these things. And we had to bank people sign in, we recognize people, we're starting to build that base of contact so that we can send letters out.
Then
Right, and so a lot of the email addresses change, and so one of the things what we do is, one thing we're working right now with the registrar, and she's working to establish that baseline for us and help us to build that up so that we can do that activity. Yes,
business information. The other thing is, I think it's really great that you're recognizing Philip Martinez for a scholarship fund.
yes,
But these are similar. These are calling for five. You know that we've done it. Safety. Any other questions?
sure.
So satellite campuses, yeah, forget the three.
I know.
Campaign percent. I mean, it's easy to but you're not. Thank you.
Well, that'll be a continued thing because I want to reach out and be part of those communities because I visit them and I want to be part of them because they're part of us. So that's,
Yeah.
it's important. Thank you.
Here's the parade, but we never get to.
Right.
And
Springer.
Yeah. You do real hard work and really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is the New Mexico Land Grant application.
Good morning. Good morning, Sheriff. Dr. Phil Martinez and LCC board members. I'm pleased to introduce to you, if you don't know, Tim Hageman, Regional Rep from Northeast Front Range, your community business and rural development team from the Northeast New Mexico Economic Development Department. That's a long time. That's all my time. So, yeah, I'm done. So last Thursday, Tim invited President Linder and I and a few other, people to, a meeting with the Secretary of Economic Development Department, Bob Black, to do a presentation and for him to see the area, see some of the projects that are in the planning stage. And Tim will give you an update on how Bob reacted to what he saw and what we're talking about in terms of the 98 acres that Luna has available for development somehow. And what the Economic Development Department is willing to do to help us with that development.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Madam Chair, nice to see you this morning, and Vice Chair Ortiz, I'm sorry for your loss and your best friend. So I am Tim work for the Economic Development Department, and I have lived in two of the satellite communities, so I'm very familiar with your mission. And today I'm going to give I want to give a 10-minute overview of what you have before you today. It is a non-action item, but I'm hoping after my presentation that you will make it an action item. So the Economic Development Department is sponsoring a planning grant with the New Mexico Finance Authority. And I brought it to the attention of President Linder that you qualified for $100,000 of planning grant funds every 24 months. So one of the projects that I think is essential to understand what your assets are and where your weaknesses are in regards to economic development. When we look at a community, we want to understand its capacity. And here in Las Vegas, we have very little capacity of large businesses that can support a community college. So we want to bring new companies into your area, such as this. This is a product that's manufactured at DBIT Business Park here in Las Vegas by Public Prefab. It's a New Mexico company that makes a wall that is as thick as an adobe and can put it together out in the field. And instead of putting in mobile homes, why not put in a prefab that has the same benefits of the R value of the adobe. So that's an example of a company that is manufacturing this product right here in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, we have a dark trade program, and that is another reason I want you to be aware of the assets that we have in the community, such as the public prefab that could be a partner of the college. So I have a letter signed by Mark Roper, our deputy director, sponsoring this planning grant. And to go with that letter is a resolution that should be in your packet. And this is something that a local government or a public institution would complete and signed by your governing board. As well as some of the background. Local planning fund is administered by the New Mexico Finance Authority. And this is there is no match, but we want to make sure that you do qualify for the up to $100,000. And that one way of doing that is providing a copy of your budget, as well as knowing what department would manage that those funds that we would reimburse to the New Mexico Finance Authority. So, what we're gonna be, looking at is the 99 acres that is vacant just north of here, as well as the entire campus. We want to understand exactly what assets that could be, brought before a recruitment opportunity in through the New Mexico partnership. Many of our recruitment opportunities look for existing buildings. And if you have a vacant building, we wanted to know about that so that we can include it for a recruitment opportunity. Once the application is submitted, then the New Mexico Finance Authority closes the loan and provides a assistance to make sure that you have hired a consultant to do the feasibility study in looking at economic development to Luna Community College, as well as establishing an economic development office. And this is very important for our area because we do not have a person that actually recruits locally. We used to have a Las Vegas, San Miguel Economic Development Corporation that represented this area and responded to recruitment opportunities. But this will allow us to be able to have an asset to be able to build upon. Right now, the DBIB business park is pretty much occupied totally. We're looking at the airport right now in regards to possibly creating a business park there. But they do not have water and wastewater. So we've got a lot of work to do in regards to the cost sharing through our department and through the city. So one of the things that we as a department are bringing to this feasibility study is a site readiness program. And this is a initiative by our Secretary Black. And we have hired global location strategies out of the Carolinas. And we're in phase 2 right now of looking at all the local government business parks as well as the private business parks. So we want to identify what, whether you have all the utilities that are needed, as well as whether it could have a solar site at that location, how close to the substations, and get some information through the San Miguel more electric co-op. So you're located on this site readiness program this year as site 4, Luna Community College, and this is a great opportunity to see where you are in regards to whether you can bring economic development to your campus or not. We want to have infill projects within the city of Las Vegas, and that's where they are providing water and wastewater improvements. But we also understand that in the county, we have assets that should be considered also. So I got some background in regards to Senate Bill 169 and 170 that creates this initiative, and it provides a framework in identifying sites. 170 creates an expedited regulatory process so that we can pre-deploy capital infrastructure to designated economic development sites as certified by the Economic Development Department. The bill also allows the New Mexico Finance Authority to provide low-interest loans to rural electric co-ops to fund infrastructure deployment to economic development sites. So we're aligned exactly where we'd like you to be. It's just a matter of whether you want to take this site readiness program and take it to the next level in regards to a planning grant. So, Madam Chair, I have concluded my 10 minutes and I want to focus on some questions now.
Then you can answer for me.
Good morning. Mark Delinear today. Thank you for your time and for the presentation. First and foremost, are you consult over a copy of the Annapolis small business development team here at
Is within my partnership of trusted professionals that I work with.
What you demonstrated today and what you talked about is initiatives, framework, infrastructure, those are all pretty good words. What I don't see is a plan, a site plan, utility design, and you haven't said how this monetary is going to be spent if we do get that. If the state is so keen on putting this forward, they should put the money forward. Are you looking at us doing the legwork and giving this grant and paying it back, or
You should have asked my question first, because I think he's gonna answer those questions when they ask. First of all, the money is only for hiring a company to do a feasibility study, right?
And then development.
Feasibility study,
same thing?
okay. Second, we get a loan from the New Mexico Finance Authority, right? Yes or no?
Continue to build a business. We're just asking to do a feasibility study to understand where you.
We get feasibility study from the New Mexico Finance Authority.
Correct.
Third, we pay it back from the New Mexico Economic Development from your agency.
The New Mexico Finance Authority is reimbursing you
Right.
for the study.
So you, in a, what is that, right? From your presentation, of what I get. I have another question. Are you funded from the state government? The New Mexico Economic Development from the federal?
We have grants that we receive through federal, our state.
So what is the projection in terms of what fed for your?
I expect it to be in the future that,
We're talking about. Bill and all that.
just recently, let's say for instance, many of our industry is based on forest. And they're opening up the roads in regards to, having access to the products that we need to get to the, San Miguel Park as well as the,
And somehow the funding out of your program drops out partially, how we get it in back.
it's nothing to do with this funding. We're just monitoring the application. And you're receiving the money to New Mexico Finance. And it's a grant.
It's not. Right, he just said that part of the grant, that this,
Grant we would pay.
okay, so if we were part of that loan, and this is all information, not because we're gonna make a decision today, but this is information basis for our decision for next meeting. If we wanted this money from the finance authority, how sure are you that we get paid? Because we don't want to know for $100,000. We have,
It's a grant.
but you said. Again, it's a loan that is paid back to Mexico Economic Development.
It is the New Mexico Authority that you're applying for an application for a planning grant. And I have helped more communities in New Mexico than any other.
That we get paid.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, trustee Dominguez. Sorry that I jumped in.
No. Sorry, that, go ahead. All the different questions that I.
But yeah,
I'm not among you. Sir. Do you feel that the institutions are doing this and we're gonna add other institutions? Do you feel that this is,
good question.
how does this impact students?
This impacts the students because we're losing 30% of our population. The future students
That demographic?
need this infrastructure and opportunity to bring in industry that will support Luna Community College as partners.
Okay. What are the community colleges that are doing this right? You funded with this grant, or because we're in another part of the state, and you have trees. Is this still what you're doing?
I can, these plans, we helped to bring a National Guard building to Mesa Lands as their asset. And then I recruited, a company on Rio Rancho that occupied that building. And, that's the economic impact that we try to create. Most of our incentives are wrapped around manufacturing. But we also have the outdoor recreation program that you can apply for, as well as the technology and science program division that we just created, and the creative industry program, as well as Main Street.
That you could have presented this in three knowledge with the bird's eye view or whatever. Whatever you use and present it and put a schematic for, present to the board. I don't feel it's not a presentation, that's just my feeling. Thank you for your time, thank you for your presentation. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back.
Thank you. Trustee,
Well, I think that would be the, not the loan, but the grant, the $100,000 will be specifically for disability type of study.
Yeah, she qualified for up to $100,000 for the 24-month period.
thank you. And
I don't think, so he didn't say that I discussed in depth with Secretary Black. Part of the purpose of the feasibility study is to determine what the cost of infrastructure, projected costs. Where's the water coming from? What the wastewater is going to be? Where's the electric coming? What kind of road improvements have to be? Whether we do anything, we have to have that knowledge and that process to know, is that a 1 year or 10-year development process? There are, Secretary Black explained, there are programs on top of programs on top of programs that you get this done, and then you become ready for shovel-ready grant. Then you become ready for the companies that want to come get subsidies. And then when they have a workforce, their employees, our students for workforce training get salary supplements. So this is not a quick fix to Luna's wishes and desires. It's probably, we're looking more like a 10-year program rather than a 2-year program. But until you know where the water's coming from, is there solar capabilities, are the wastewater septics, whatever you're gonna have to do to even use that land or anything other than land.
we could probably answer one big question right there is why. Go ahead.
You can say it.
See, we don't know if the natural water is big enough to expand, or if it's gonna have to come somewhere else over the mountain or whatever. But we don't have to pay for that. Yeah, but if somebody else is willing to give us the money to find the answer to those types of questions, so then we can't make a future for that land. And open that, if there's anybody that would be interested in development also.
Dr. Johnson, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your time. I'm just trying to think, I just feel that right now, we go to community colleges, we need to focus on our at 25, at 24, FY 24. Okay. We have other things that are more important now. And to get this basis and this foundation, this is better. That's all I say, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, okay, thank you, trustee Dominguez, and for your comments, and Tim and Dr. Thompson. I want to say that it is very easy, we have a lot of things we're focusing on right now, but I think that what Dr. Thompson is saying is that we do need to be looking down the road to say, what is Luna going to look like, and how can we partner with industries in terms of workforce development? And all of these projects take many, many years. We had a really great presentation that I went to a couple weeks ago at the New Mexico Independent Community Colleges, talking about the length of time it takes for any type of these projects. And the first phase really is doing that feasibility study. And I know that previous administrations have looked at that, but in terms of really where education is going, especially in career and technical, it really is all about working with industries. How do you partner with other companies to really train that workforce? And so this is something that really would set us apart. And again, this is just the first phase. Don't do it. Then 10 years down the road, why don't we? Because we have to grow the number of opportunities that our students have. And the only way I think that people that were at the meeting last week, we know that we have to deal with water security. And the state is partnering with the city to sort of try to build some. But we have to bring more industry to this region. We just have to. There's not enough industry here to support stay here and jobs to stay here. So it is part, that's what a community college does. That isn't, that is what community college does. And this is just the first step. And we don't even really know the possibilities unless we take this step.
Go ahead.
President, thank you for that comment, and I have to agree with you to a certain extent, but one part of being in the situation that past leadership that put us in the situation, we need to gain the trust back of parent, the community, and the students will come.
We don't have enough programs. We don't have enough programs.
It's like a dinner meeting, there's something that's you have to make what you have, bet there is, for the best people for their career.
We did for the labs, which is the largest employer for the state, to have a building here, or we could partner, internships, sky's the limit. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond.
Thank you. Only my opinion.
Go ahead, Dr. Linder.
Sorry, thank you for everybody's patience as we work through this. I think it's a long agenda, but it's been really valuable to hear everybody's input.
We have, instead of reading the whole thing, we just,
I'm doing this work. Oh, sorry, just. And so take time and do have team partners. It's this last couple of years, and I am not sure that the board or some of the board maybe members have, but I'm sure the board members have met them. And so at the executive committee last week, I just asked and said, goodness, we did extend a team partners contract in light of some of the other changes that are happening with personnel, with financial aid. And so I just wanted to give them what they're doing to themselves. And Megan, you're seeing a really big you, but then Jessica has been and Seth are also there. So maybe when when you each speak, you guys will also get big. So thank you for joining us and thanks for your patience this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us. We're very appreciative of your time. We just wanted to spend a few minutes to introduce ourselves and give you a face to put with our names, and just spend a few minutes with you. So I'll briefly kick it off and introduce myself. My name's Jessica Smith. I'm with the Teen Partners. I've been consulting for Luna about 2 years now, and I've been in higher education, specifically financial aid, for about 15 years. I'll pass it along to Megan.
Good morning. Sorry you've all had to see my face for most of the meeting, but thank you again for having us here today. I've been consulting with the Teen Partners and with Luna here specifically since October of 2024. I joined the Luna team and I've been specifically helping on the Workday SIS project for the financial aid work stream. I've also been helping with implementing work study, standards of procedure, helping spending those funds, and other areas of support for Jessica and Seth. So again, thank you so much for having us today. Seth?
Sorry about that. My name is Seth Shader, and just again, echo thank you for the opportunity to meet with you, the board. And I've been with Attain and Luna for about 2 years alongside with Jessica, and started in financial aid in 2012, very familiar with the community college setting, as well as working with the systems that Luna is utilizing currently and moving into, and so have been primarily working on getting the financial aid software to set up and maintain so that we can process financial aid as smoothly as possible, and as timely as possible. And so thank you so much.
So again, we just wanted to have the opportunity to introduce ourselves to you and share with you some of the areas that we've been working on. They're just a brief highlight. In addition to what Megan and Seth mentioned, we have been supporting Luna through the audits. We will continue to do this while we're on board. We'll also continue to support the students and help the on the ground staff get adjusted and help them become, a strong liaison for that face-to-face opportunity with us. And there's a multitude of pieces that go into the operations of financial aid, and so we each play a critical role in making sure all of those happen. Specifically, we have reporting and we assist in iPads, PhysApp, just to name a few. And as Seth and Megan mentioned, they each have been very involved in the technical side and support for Workday, both the implementation and then just the maintenance of the current system so that when that data does go over, it is as clean and accurate as possible.
But I'm just waiting. What, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You said everybody has a specific job. Can you give us each individual job?
So we don't have specific jobs per se in maybe in that sense, but in what I mean by that is, for instance, Megan does work, so she is the lead in Workday for the financial aid office. Seth does all of our technical operations as far as anything that is system related with both Genzabar and Power Fades. And so those are, I guess those would be specialties of what we do. We also are overseeing the day-to-day operations of the financial aid office. We're working specifically with NSLDS, which is the National Student Loan Database System, and COD, which is our common origination. And that's where our Pell Grant and our federal student loans come from. Those are some of the pieces that I process, as well as working with students to package them, to review their financial aid, complete verification. So I would say that those are our specialties when I say specific jobs, but we are doing nuts to bolts, you know, the full recipe for the soup. We are doing it all with the assistance of, you know, while we've had on the ground staff, we've worked together with them to really enhance that student experience. And we'll continue to work, you know, with that process in hopes of finding someone who can be a liaison on the ground. We do have our schedule. We have meetings available that students can click on a link, schedule appointments with us throughout the week. We all have different times available so that they are sprinkled throughout the day. But yeah, we don't necessarily have a specific job, but we do have specialties that we each work on.
So does that mean that if a student calls and I imagine that goes from directly somebody like gave back questions?
So I can't fully hear you, but I think I can answer the question. We will be re-evaluating. So in the past, prior to having on-the-ground staff, when a student called, it was directed to us. So it came directly to our phones. We were able to answer those calls and also return voice messages and schedule appointments. That has taken a pause because there was on-the-ground staff. And so we'll reevaluate that and restart that process, you know, in the future if that is, you know, when there is no longer on the ground staff. Did that?
Thank you. Vice Chair Portillo.
So, Dr. Minnis, after, now that we're losing a couple of individuals, financial assistance, the team will start taking over. Yeah.
So we have, and a couple, we have, I have signed a new contract with the team to actually give those services in light of the resignations of our financial aid staff. However, we are working to try to still get on the ground support. The team is the group and the individuals that sort of know our system and worked in our system for the last 2 years, and they spent a lot of time in several months since Sierra and Kathleen joined, actually doing a lot of. But we just want to make sure that they're available to provide that, we still have continuity. And so that's probably the biggest piece, especially the other thing with the audit. They helped out tremendously with the audit. We had last year the finding on the R2T4, the return to Title IV funds. We did, SEM actually did that full audit with them. And right now, even if we look at, even if Sierra and Cali and State, they still need additional support. So we just want to make sure that the students have that continuity in the financial aid, but we are trying to figure out a solution that would still have somebody that the students could see. But if they have a question that those people on the ground can't handle, we have the Attain partners there to provide that expertise. And even going into the new FY24 audit, we have assistance for preparing for that.
But you know how I feel about providing student services. I like that.
Yes, we
thank the team for doing what they're doing, but I just don't like that. They have to speak to somebody. I just like that first of all.
So I told you 100%, and I was just discussing this with one of our candidates yesterday with the associate VP. But we assigned one students that are in our nursing program, college program, a lot of our students step set on this campus. And I want more students to be on our campus, but we have a lot of students that today are really doing everything remote. And they really, in fact, we have employees here that when I have this meeting that are right down the hall, they go come down to the meeting. So people really, I'm totally like you, I want people to be in the room. But today's generation, a lot of times don't actually they want to be online.
Sure, that's totally.
Okay, so how much?
I extended their contract for 3 months.
Thank you.
Sure, but hey, President, you just stated that the majority of the students are on campus. What percentage would that be to fill our team into with a team?
So maybe, so I'm not sure that Jessica, you heard that question. Your question was how many students are dealing with the team? We have, maybe they could answer, how many students do you think you interact with on a year?
So I would say that we interact with a lot of students. It's in a variety of different ways. So sometimes it could be as simple as an email communication. But the process, just like a high level overview of a student who completes a FAFSA, that comes into us. So we process their FAFSA. If there's any missing information, conflicting information, anything that isn't 100%, we're going to reach out to that student. So that's going to be one of our points of contact. If there's no issues and we move forward with a review for eligibility, we're going to provide them with what's called an award notification. And so that's another point of contact. And then we have students, especially at the start of each semester, that are transferring in and out. And so we're working with them to complete their NMSTTs. And then we're also working with students during the semester to complete their, in addition to their federal aid, to complete their state aid. Then we communicate with students at the end of each semester based on whether they're meeting satisfactory academic progress or not, as well as students who are graduating because they need to complete something called exit counseling. And those, I'm going to say that's a high level overview. So I don't have a number. It's certainly something we could try to put together in the future. But we interact with students regularly. We have also rebuilt the financial aid page. So there is a new financial aid page with more updated information that Seth maintains. So we're regularly able to put little announcements on there. We've also enhanced the delivery of information to the students' portal, and so they can see when documents are missing, what those documents are, and how to resolve them. High level, go to this website, call this office, contact us. So they have more opportunities to empower themselves to resolve or connect with us when there are issues. So I do think that we interact with students very regularly.
So the turnaround time, what's your get back time, once a student fills in the paper and it's missing information, what's the get back time that you guys get back to the student? You have to have the student get into a portal to contact somebody, you guys know the right person that they speak to.
I think you're asking if when we communicate with students, how they basically communicate back with us. Yeah, so we're able to connect with, so we provide a phone number, not in addition to, there's the Luna phone number. So previously the main office was forwarded to us. It's been obviously taken back, and so I think we'll reinitiate that going down the road. But we each have a New Mexico phone number that we've provided in our email signatures. There have been flyers that have been put out to students, and they can contact us. It goes directly to our cell phone, that phone number. They can email us. So we have a shared email, which is the finaid@luna.edu. And then we each have our own individual Luna emails. And then from there, typically that's when we would triage, a conversation would lead to, let's schedule an appointment. We work with other offices throughout the campus. If someone needs to bring a physical document in and there is no way to scan or email it, we'll work with someone in a different office and say, can you help us collect this form for us?
Do you feel that the team has helped students not get deterred from enrolling in school? That fast funnel that has to be put forth, do you feel there's a small percentage that don't want to deal with you guys?
I think that we have helped. I think that students who have expressed that feeling may have expressed that feeling regardless of our work. I think that is not unheard of at other campuses as well. And I do think that there is opportunity for more. So I think that more students could, the more that we can educate them in opportunities like advising, orientation, before they even get into the semester is where we could really service the students in a way that will be more helpful throughout their journey at Luna.
You maybe feel that futuristically that you need for orientation, a data orientation, and obviously you have multiple community colleges, do you feel that futuristically can come and have student day before school starts and have an orientation and have somebody live entertain and explain the process? Is that a possibility? I mean, we pay you guys a lot of money. I just feel that we talk about, we can do more, we can do more, we can do this, we can send it down the portal. Then we get you here live, to talk to our student and have a welcoming. It would be welcome for the student, there was no process and procedure and I just feel that's excessive. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not very educated, it's just pretty basic common sense, but.
And based on that, I thought maybe putting on like the back page where they go to financial aid and it's got information breaking down the process, what they do next and how you come into it. So that they don't have to be calling people to ask the question. Would you consider that? And then put it together and send it to us.
So Jessica,
Yeah,
share the.
Yeah, we can absolutely share the website, either follow up with this or Dr. Linder, you and I can connect to get that out to them. Most of that does already exist as far as step by step. There are, it's more than just information. There are videos, there are do this, this is next steps. So we would be happy to share that. And we were able to join some events. We're still working to be more integrated in those different orientations and in-service weeks. So we have joined some of those. And sometimes they've happened without, we were not invited. So we're working to really create a nice, strong bridge with offices across the campus. And we understand we're remote and that is not as ideal as the everyone would like, but we very much want to be included and participate in all of the options that are there to get information to students, especially at that orientation time, because that is an opportunity for us to talk to students about doing the FAFSA, which could make them eligible for grants, which are free, and maybe student loans.
One more question. Instead of a website, it's got a video, can't you just make it short, concise, one page, because kids are not going through this process for 20 minutes. You just need one page, and then at the bottom, if you need more information, go to the website. Can you please do that? Because we're tired of links, we're tired. They come to us, they call us, what can we do? We're not.
Yeah, so Dr. Linder, I will say I can hear a little bit of what you're saying. And so if we can, after this debrief, that would be really helpful. I'm sure that we can create something that you're asking for.
Okay, let me tell you again, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it cuts in and out. And I saw you said something about one page, something that's short.
One sheet that pops up immediately, and at the bottom it says, if you need more information, go to the portal, go to the website. Whatever, something that short and students can read in a matter of 5 minutes. You're not going to spend a half an hour or an hour going to a website and getting stuck. They're just not going to do it. And if I say we're tired of the place, same with you. Here's what. Okay, so this is for you, Linder. Okay, so you just extended a contract with the contract amount.
I'm not, I can look at her and get you that information. I think it's about $160,000.
And then what percentage of students are receiving financial assistance?
My understanding is that we have a little over 200 students that receive that financial.
Thank you.
But at one point it was less than 50%.
So our enrollment is about 700 all last fall.
Okay, so it's
So,
less
but so that is one thing that we're really committed to looking at and trying to see what percentage of students have qualified financial aid. That is one of the reasons that we want to have on the parent support, so that I know that both Callie and Sierra have been going out to the high schools, getting students, making sure that they fill out the FAFSA. And definitely increasing the number of students on financial aid is a huge priority.
Anything else? Thank you. But that's.
Sorry. Well done. Here we go. Thank you for your time and your presentation today. I have one last question. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Just please.
What time zone do you work in?
What time
Zone.
Zone.
time zone? We are on the East Coast.
So not in the same time zone as us.
They work.
We work around the, I mean, we are on the East Coast, but we are available during Mountain Time hours. We adjust our schedule, so if there is a meeting, if there is a call, we do navigate that.
Thank you very much.
And you said that you're gonna initiate the phone number process again, since there aren't anybody here in the office. When will that start?
So it can start once the on-the-ground staff has left, and then we'll work with the IT office to update the phone number to be forwarded.
Thank you. Trustees, any other questions? Then, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we've had so much questions. Thank you for being here to answer them. We questioned Dr. Lynn, and obviously it's only a certain amount of to get from us. Thank you. We
Thank
may
you.
want
We really appreciate it. If you would like us ever to attend again, we are more than happy to come to any meeting. We're happy if you give us a heads up to prepare information for you. So we do appreciate you allowing us to join today and taking the time and your questions. It is great to interact with all of you, and we hope that you have a great day.
And the other comment that I have is if we don't stop getting complaints, we will be asking you to come back to our meetings again. So please do what you can so that students are and they're not complaining. Thank you. Okay, that's it. Okay.
I start on page 17. Yes. Thank you. Dr. Martinez, Chair of Trustees. I think we've already provided some updates on several of the items through your report. And so the recognition. I think that you've heard most of these items in the report. I do want to just point out that we do there's a list on page 18 of sort of community engagement, partnerships and outreach. I have spent quite a bit of time with Santa Rosa. I did meet with the Guadalupe Commission on their meeting on June 24th. I've been over several times to meet with Sharon West and Superintendent Madrid. I did go to Springer. I need to go back. I need to meet with the mayor. I have met with the leadership at Warren School. I think definitely connecting with satellites closely is a high priority. And there is a lot of stuff that has been happening with the New Mexico Higher Education Department. There were a lot of end of the year reports. We did spend all of the road money. Mary Frances Bibb did a great job on them. There's great reports from the area health education center, athletics, contract education. They've had success in students finishing. And the Wildfire Resiliency Training Center has a lot of things that they've been working on. Justin's great reporting for that. Dr. Thompson did submit the Title V grant, which I had given in my weekly report. And then there has been a lot of work done in IT. We are doing a rollout of all Windows 11. And a lot of things have been happening. Denise Montoya was promoted to IT project manager to handle a lot of the projects. We're doing a new website, we're doing a new software. In addition to the workday, we're also getting new software for on-credit. Trustee Dominguez mentioned before the importance of Small Business Development Center in Granada. She really has been instrumental in helping the community recover, and they get most of the state, but they also do have some federal funding. And so the Santa Fe Community College and the SBDC in New Mexico has sort of given us an update on how we're gonna do that. And we still have more people using the wellness center and community ed classes.
So go ahead. Okay. So I'll refer to page 17 that we covered. Okay, sorry, this is that's okay. The candidate for the or that we're in. How much longer before select a AP?
So I have received all the references and checking on a few other things that I need to make a offer this week.
And then, did you personally do a reference check or HR did?
So last fall, we actually contracted with Cross Check 360, which does a sort of 360 review that includes the candidate, plus we ask for 2 supervisors, 2 peers, and 2 direct reports to submit a really comprehensive sort of review with that. And then I also, so it is not done by HR, it is done by the third party, and the candidates and their references, those people get an email, they respond directly, we get a report on that. I'm happy to show you an example of that at some point. I know there were some questions about that third party. And it's a really nice thing that's a really 360 review that asks them is much more thorough than what we were previously doing in terms of reference checking. And
this just started recently?
we started it last fall, when Nikki Martin came in, she actually really, that was one of the first things that she recommended, that the way that we were doing reference checks previously was not really very robust.
And then HR doesn't have anything to do with any of this?
So HR actually is they do. So HR is the person, so if I want to check on a candidate, so say Dr. Fidel Trujillo, then they put his name into the system as been cross-checked. He gets an email saying, please give us 2 direct supervisors, 2 peers, 2 direct reports. And then there is a survey, they also answer in that, it's a sort of 360 review, and then he gives the names and the emails. But I'm also doing other references that I'm on.
So what is this costing us now? We're gonna be doing third party?
So I can't remember the last of it, but it was part of the budget that was for the HR budget. This is something that went through a budget process, and it was something that was approved. And so in December, we asked all of give us any additional requests for funding for FY24, and then we included it as part of the FY25. So
This is new, I had never heard of this.
so this is actually and so really, this is a really something that any institution that is spending a lot of time hiring a candidate, it's really important that, and one of the things in my strategic goals is that I really looked at the vetting process for candidates and try to have a more robust vetting process that is in the objectives under the human resources, and so this was part of that. Thank you.
Madam President, PSB or CDL,
Yes.
what is the talk about?
Good evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
What's you, Mr. Shannon?
I am not, oh, I've been told this. I've been told about testing. There is a cost that for the student, it's built into what, I'm pretty sure that it's built into what they pay for the course. And we do testing, right now, there is not a tester. There's not a tester in Las Vegas, and so we are either testing it at or into the carrier. And I will find out. Okay.
I have, questions starting. Yeah. Everybody asked something, I was wondering on the first page, but the second page, where you talked about LCC honors being used. I would like to publicly thank Jesse Gallegos, but I think he was the one that was responsible. And I heard it was a really nice feedback. And, sorry to see you go, Ms. Hughes. The other thing is, you talked about Olympic County Commission meeting on Tuesday, that's on page 18, and met with superintendent, San High School have access to that building to finish and use woodworking. Is there any possibility of doing credit or doing that?
That is, okay, good, that is working. And access for their students to get, with that. That is. And we're looking at those options.
And down there, we talked about submitted for a proposal, one for creating common space and the other, they're educating.
Sorry. That was actually it was incomplete. And so I had texted Karen Torres for that name, and when I was doing the report, I didn't finish it. And so Karen is not here today, but there was one for creating family spaces and the other one, and I think the other one was for doing workshops for soft skills and hiring skills for career development. And it was to put on a series of workshops for students for hiring skills, interviews, resumes, that sort of thing. So she worked with Gloria Ortiz as part of career opportunity. And I apologize for that. That came out of a weekly report and it was incomplete.
Okay, then, down below go bonds, $1.5 million for FY 22, is that the expiration?
So it is, there's 4 years to be to move forward on that.
That's ASA. Okay, you're gonna be asked. Yes. Okay, and page 19, we talked about further student needs. Is there any way to get some number of New Mexico?
And so and grade have really made a priority of recruiting in New Mexico. And because it also helps the students because they have access to the lottery and the opportunity. And then they can use their scholarship monies to help their housing. And so that's get a number and sign in all of those letters of intent. But I will get a number. I do know that both Coach Ryan and Coach went to all the state tournaments and recruited, and they have kids coming from that. But they do recruit neighboring states. They have tried locally, and the students here who are excellent softball and baseball students here, and they don't want to stay in schools. They have to go to ministry. They want to go. So anyway, but I will get a number of New Mexico students.
Okay, and the other one is about the golf. They used the PR, I think they really good tournament, because I was at the golf tournament about 3 months ago at Henry, where the students from Sterling High School raised $10,000 in the golf tournament. So I think that's really good. That's probably been something that the foundation is very. Okay, the last one there is about the gloves, free gloves for Luna softball. That's really great. Custom gloves. That's a great contract.
Yes.
And let's see what else. Oh, the CDL program for the fire department and with the. emergency medical service, right? We need to get those people CPRs. Yes, the last one is doing the training center for a long time, it was fun, but it's still in the. And we're glad to see all the work that Mr. Blackwell is doing, as everyone gets with us.
Shushman, and he gives some personnel we don't enjoy as well.
And that's nice because, those are actual miserable people, unlike some of your. From the people that just they participate, there's no really measurable difference.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
and let's see, there's something else in the nursing, I think that's probably in it. That's yes. And that's going to be in per report. Yes, yes. Any other questions? Okay, we're glad to see the enrollment. Those are good. Anyone else? No. Okay, then. Dr. Leo, you're gonna answer the question.
And then so
I apologize, I'm so sorry about that, Chief too. So I have a couple of questions, please, President Mayor, all to the name, Vice Chair. That's the job. So. Let's look into your report. President. Vice Chair, let's bring the, a subcontractor, let's check it out, which is fine. Yeah. I'm still approved by the board.
no, it wasn't approved by the board.
Oh, it's a question contract, so it's okay.
We
Okay, that's fine, but what I want to see in here. Correct me if I want to see it, maybe you have it, I didn't read it correctly is. As part of your contract, we have a cost summary for professional activities, and maybe it's not in it, maybe it's done.
Is that Richard?
Yeah. I heard it. Dollars the minute, if there's anything in there that you get a copy of it. The copy of it. Otherwise, you ever read that night and. $50 word.
Okay, thank you, you did this, and I have in the past year, we done quite a bit of professional development, did it in the ACCT meeting, and I did it in the HLC meeting. And this is the first time that I've attended the HLC meeting since 2019. And so I have not attended the HLC meeting since 2019, and the ACCT meeting that I attended was the first time I ever attended that meeting. And so I think that the training I got, there was, as the trustees that were there participated, there was a full day of president and trustee training Saturday in addition to the HLC meeting. I have discussed before, and maybe haven't put it in weekly report or anything. I do have specific money for 12,000 professional development. We also have a professional development fund. What I have mentioned to Dr. Martinez is that I would really like to use that professional development money for the whole campus and not me specifically. And so we have been working with HR and talking to some different groups that have done professional development. Trustee Portillo's gave me a recommendation of Michael Rivera. And what I would like to do is use that money for actually the whole campus.
So, based on that, the board are getting a quarterly report. That's in the verbiage. Also, I would like to have, assuming all your VP candidates have already come in, whether they flew in, drove in, whatever, but they got a seminary. The VP search, I will be asking futuristically for your assistant to assist in VP search, cost summary and that as well. But for now, just a quarterly report for professional services, activities, and cost of VP search cost summary.
For both BPSS and ABPSS. Correct.
Yeah, I hadn't asked, but I'm it's not in shape, special period of involvement. I think Dr. Shields has been reminded is going to address the one for the board. So, And I thank you for that as well, Dr. Shields, I would ask additional work, but unfortunately, we have a duty to our stakeholders. Thank you, I will make that back to you.
And anybody else with a question for Dr. Linder on her report? Okay,
I do have one action. item.
yes, I was just gonna talk about that. This is Miss Ann Travado, and I reread the information. That would be around 5 hours a month.
So she
This is a total of
up to
$14,000.
up to 200. It is under the $15,000 threshold. So, Anne Tabata has been working with Estelle Garcia in his office with the year. As you know, we have been successful in building a position as accountant. Dr. Montoya recently contacted Anne Tabata. She has worked, usually they work this Saturday. And Estelle has asked that we continue that in the coming year. She wanted this additional training. This is professional development. We did send Estelle to professional development in grants in April, but she has really done. Anne has really done a great job with Estelle with our grants. If you look at our grants module, there are a lot of grants that we. And we have a lot of small grants, there's a lot of management, this as a whole new system. And Estelle has done a fantastic job, and she is not an accountant. And so,
And the other thing it says is all it is student financial aid accounts also. And I must calculate 16 hours a month, give or take.
so, and usually what happens is that they'll get together Saturday and so it's not a. It's sort of when it works for both, Anne has another job and Estelle does this outside of her day usually.
Okay, so I would like to take an action item to, motion to approve the second one. To give Mr. Otto contract not to exceed $14,000 from July 8th, 2025 to June 30th, 2026.
So move.
And a second.
Second.
Ms. Westland?
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez,
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Luis Portillo. Yes. Secretary Mark Dominguez,
Yeah.
Medina. Trustee Dr. Gilbertson,
Yeah.
trustee Rolando Medrano,
Yeah.
trustee Rosalie Ortega.
Okay, Ms. Maxine, you're next. Sorry to put you on the spot, but duty calls. It's again.
I just need another one.
Well, thank you. Hopefully this will be it because she said she's going to offer someone a position, but.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chair, members,
And you
trustees.
don't need to read it all, just some highlights, and then I have some questions.
So I'd like to acknowledge and thank Karen Totis for holding the position here for a year as Vice President. And, yes, she did.
It,
Okay, it's a learning curve.
yes.
Dr. already mentioned the 2 grants that she received, so those are listed here as well. She became an evaluator for CT procurement, or the evaluator for CT procurement, so she's taking care of things for her own department as well. For nursing, you said you had questions. Yeah, the 23 graduates, we've had 11 passed as of today.
Yeah.
And so far, I wanted to mention some statistics for you, just so I'm curious. I would like to talk about fall enrollment 2022, it was 41. And that is for both levels, okay, for level 1 and level 3 coming in. For 2023, it was 39, for 2024, it was 50, and for 25, it's 55. So,
2020 was how many?
50,
And now,
55.
wow, good.
So this
Well,
is
it's
just
just
happy. That's right. Yes, and along with that go the faculty, right? And so we're interviewing for 2 faculty positions and we have 5 applicants, so.
Great. That we have that are coming from staff pay to attend and community college, which is great. I really something for your program. Yeah, so you have legacy.
Yes. But and your question about your screen said?
Okay, I just want to give a shout out to Valerie because you said that she teacher in this FNP grant.
Yes.
So that's one of your the people that your employees, I would say your employees, but your colleagues before.
Yes. Yes.
And I have another question about something else. I don't know if you can answer, but Dr. Linder can. On the first page 30, it says collaborated with Fairfax with Dr. Linder, completed submit the workforce development fund. Those are the ones that NHG had talked to us about that had a 30. Was that one? Okay. And so congratulations to Ms. Valerie. And the Allied Health Services on page 34, the CNA coordinator met the Humans Corporation to start substance abuse certificate program for inmates in our correctional facility. Met to start a veterinary tech assistant program and completed the PLA, not sure what that is. Okay, but those first three bullets, really great, in fact, it's badly post office things that we used to have that somehow fell through the cracks, except for the veterinary. So glad to see that that's continuing.
So the, can I just say about we had CNA in the past, we used to have really a lot of CNAs because it was a prerequisite to getting into the nursing program. And so anybody that to be before us, there were CNA classes happening every month. But the nursing program, maybe they said that you don't need to be a CNA before you can nurse now. So we have had this, it's been not, we haven't had a huge demand and a lot of the institutions actually certify their CNAs at their drug facilities, and that has been a challenge, but there has been interest in that in Santa Rosa and several different areas, and so Andrea Yee is our nursing faculty, and you have to have a nurse that oversees that program. And so when I was the director, I couldn't oversee it at Susan Roman, and now Andrea, Eric has been working closely with her, so I'm really excited about it as well. And then the substance abuse certificate is actually something that our instructor Chelsea Lucero worked on with me to get it to our catalog. We have it in our catalog, but we have had meetings with the corrections department. It is not so easy to do that within the corrections, but they have a lot of ideas about that. And so Eric is really pushing forward on that. So I'm excited about it.
And there's so many other that I would like to call attention to, but because you kind of bring this thing. The only other problem is that in some of these, it talks about key accomplishments will be included on next report. Future activity will be included on it. I didn't see that because that means that they didn't finish their report. So in the future, maybe they need to finish or leave those sections out. It points to them not completing their assignment, which is preparing for.
And okay, so just clarify here, I'm sorry, there's a bunch of all of those, but what, okay, so what we said for the board, and this is just the template that is sent to the directors, right? And so those comments right there, so what this is the template that each director is given. And we ask them to complete divisional activities. And we then say it's not going to be included in this packet, however, I don't know if Amanda did this packet, or who did this packet, I'm not sure, you didn't do it, right, you don't know. But anyway, that's just a comment that says that we don't necessarily, will not put everything, trying to focus on the board packet, having the key accomplishments that are really tied to strategic goals. And people, like, you know, early on, people would put 2 or 3 pages of reports. And we said, okay, we want the key accomplishments, that's what we want to go on the board packet. So that comment right there, these will not be included in the report, but will be reviewed, is actually just on the template, and please indicate your strategic goals. And so that's why, I think it's really sort of a formatting of the report.
Also says key accomplishments to be included.
Well, that's, I mean, that's just the template. So that's the
Divisional activities to be included, and it's future activities. These will not be included, but will be reviewed. So if there's no way that the information.
well, anyway, we'll work on it.
Okay. But so
I know we read this no longer with this, but who these satellites now? Satellites.
So there was not a report from satellites this semester, I mean, on this board report. And typically the city in that report, and she didn't put in that report, and I thought that Karen was gonna get that report from the satellite managers, and she was not about this.
So who's overseeing the satellites?
So Karen was doing that, and right now Maxine is doing that. But this is part of the reorganization with adding an AVP SS, but right now Maxine has oversight over the satellites.
They've been calling me.
There's no.
Well, there wasn't, remember last week?
Oh, yeah, there was no water. That's right, at Santa Rosa, there was no water. So right now, because when Cindy left, it went to Karen, and right now it's Maxine.
Thank you.
So the other thing I wanted to also call attention to is the Rough Rider college readiness program. With shared good, it's a lot, it's doing a lot. If you all remember. Trustee Dominguez?
And Maxine, I want to extend my gratitude and appreciation for the hopes and the lives of the students that you've impacted and put forward with your team and thank you. Motion for any question.
You know, his son.
He's got it. Great, thank God. But still for you, thank you for your time, your patience, your professionalism, your skill. Sometimes you pay people for not your time, but their experience. And hopefully that was following. But my comment and question is for you, President Ender, if you can shine some light. STEM Humanities Director, Mr. Christopher Smith, and what I did get a lot of the community, and I don't know if you guys have questions about what happened to our young kids, our robotics program and stuff that was done, the previous director get involved here. But the students look forward to that, and I'd like to see if we can somehow not charities back with that. Students really needed this to go, a safe place to go. They had shirts, they had different colors, security, who they were, they did robotics, they competed. Those are future doomed students, whether they be nursing students or CDL drivers. Whatever they may be.
The summer program.
The summer program that we had in the chair, and I would like to see if somehow we can support that, that's all I have to say, thank you, Madam Chair, but I don't see any really key accomplishments, thank you.
Pre, trustee Dominguez and Dr. Martinez, we did have a really amazing robotics program with students that was part of the workshop that we had with the school kids in May that were here. Not as many students came as we had originally hoped from the different schools, but they really had a great experience. And they did that, and this is something that Sherry's also looking at. But I believe that the previous STEM and humanities director really went above and beyond with creating some of those programs.
So was that for the kitchen?
Yeah, the New Mexico science, it was in a report that they were there, and they did a robotics.
But was it a realty report? Apologies, but I just.
It might mention specifically the robotics, but we have the women in science, and they were here on campus, similar to sort of Girls Can. And they had just talked last week to the New Mexico NESA, was part of the workshop that I went to last week for Mantle. And they talked about those activities, but definitely we need to expand those and have those opportunities. And I think a lot of it is those robotics and getting all that stuff going is stuff that needs to happen out of step.
Do you know if we still receive a $10,000 grant or that?
That was something that that former step director did, and so my understanding is we didn't apply for those funds, but he was very good at applying for those funds.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. You can back to you.
All right, here for you. Oh, okay. So okay, next, thank you so much. Thank you. How do you do? Done, you
Looks a bit tense.
Hey, you can tell them she's from.
Oh.
Now you can work with her.
Thank you.
Parts of our house. She's on the interior. Yes, I know, but. They are. Thank you. I'm sure you're looking down at you and proud. So, yes. Dr. Fields. And if you could just have a summary and then if we have questions.
Madam Chair, I can be as brief as you want me to be brief.
Okay.
I can get right back on my scooter and get right on the door. Okay, Madam Chairperson and Associate Trustees and President Linder, the Finance Division has a report here that you have for you. To be brief and summarize, we had a revenue of $11,176,710, representing 92%. Expenditures were $11,782,000, representing 86%. And we're looking at a projected profit of end of the fiscal year, $420,856. Under our cash balances, you see before you, if there's any questions regarding the cash balances, the student receivables, everything's pretty much a semblance of last year, except for the cash balances. There's a reduction of about $1.5 million because of a project, a roofing project we finally paid that cost the college. And our payroll and benefits is looking at expenditures of roughly about 80%, which is good, showing that we're keeping within our budget when it comes to payroll benefits. But that is due to a lot of open positions. we're having just no real, I hate to use the word luck, when it comes to business manager and accounting positions, but looking at some other realignment of division and working with the president to try to resolve some of our shortcomings. The audit, of course, for 22-23, you have received, it is final, it's done. As a relatively improvement report from previous years. We are working on fiscal year 24 aggressively. And other some of the reports have here to give you a more detailed breakdown of revenue expenses and transfers, as well as cost centers. There's a couple red lines that exceed 10%, but those are ones that we'll be working on due to benefit changes. And then under the restricted, that is more of a county issue that we're getting resolved with the auditors. And my last request I have for a action item, and that is for my signatory to be placed on the bank accounts. Are there any questions or anything for me? I'll let you.
What's the time frame?
Well, it's whenever the board approves, and then I'll take it to each one of the banks to add my signature.
The minute be approved, and then they go to the bank, it's only about a month.
So not 100% sure if that's typically how it works, is that you have to approve minutes.
Yes.
And,
But it's on the person.
That they have usually,
but if we have an action item, we can document that this action item is approved. I think that when I, the bank actually took that. So that they said approved, and we said approved by the board. And then we have this, my recollection is the bank did accept that.
okay, for a resolution, if we had done it, then it been acceptable. Anyway, okay, so now I would like to entertain a motion to approve the action item, bank signatory authority to act, Dr. Shields, so that he can discuss the accounts with the bank. I'll second it. This is in the. Okay, who was motion? And the second?
Yes.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Louise Portillo.
Yes.
Secretary Mark Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Trustee Kenneth Medina. Trustee Dr. Gilbert Senna.
Yes.
Trustee Rolando Medrano. Trustee Rosalie Ortega.
So next item, thank you very much, Dr. Shields.
Sure.
Next item.
It's good. I look forward to it.
We did the last stuff. Announcement date and location of next trustees meeting. First of all, will be August the 7th, which will be a special meeting to work on policies and open meetings act. And that will be approval by trustee or taking. The next one is Board of Trustees meeting Tuesday, August the 12th. And last item is a motion to adjourn. Don't say that. And roll call.
Madam Chair, Dr. Phyllis Martinez.
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair, Louise Portillo.
Yes.
Secretary Mark Rodriguez. Trustee Kenneth Medina. Trustee Dr. Gilbert Senna.
Yeah.
Trustee Rolando Medrano.
Please. She said yes. Luis. Luis. Don.
For what?
Don. Caller. Did we vote? Yes, we're done.